Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Olivia. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to color Christmas trees. And as you can see here, there are a few different types of Christmas tree drawing. And this one you usually see from like John Hanna's first book or romantic country, and I also include one that kind of glows up to the branch as well. Now I'm going to use the Prismacolors pencil for this tutorial, and I will incorporate some of the Inktense as well just for the base color. So without further ado, let's get started. Now for the first illustration, as you can see here, it is a close up of the Christmas tree branch, and I'm going to use the Derwent Inktense. I have two colors here and we're gonna use them to applying in the base color. However, the Inktense is optional, and I will also show you how to color them with just the pencil in a little bit. So the first color I'm applying down is Ionian green, and as you can see, I just put it down with a very light brushes, and I'm covering all of the space of these side branches. Next, I'm going in with the iron green. Now this green is a little bit more on the darker color, and it is also like a cool tone, so I'm using it just mainly for the shadow. And for the side branches, the shadow usually just right at the corner, and it is quite important that you don't bring these colors out too far to the tip, so just keep it right at the bottom. Once I am done, I'm going in with the watercolor pen, and I'm going to activate the color by using this pen. Now you can use a normal brush with some water on the side. However, I find this pen is a lot easier to use and you can control the water a lot better. And as you can see here, I'm start with the lightest area, which is the tip of the branch, and started slowly blend into the shadow. And because I need to blend it back so the transition look smooth, so sometimes there is a extra colors on my tip, and I don't want those dark color bring out further onto the tip, so I just quickly dab it off on the piece of tissue next to me, and so my brush is clean again, and then I can just continue to blend out. Now with the Inktense, because once it dry, it will not activate anymore, and they dry quite fast, so make sure you work a little bit faster with this paint. Now once you're done, and while we're waiting for the ink to dry, I'm going to show you how to do the rest of these branch with just the pencil. So again, you need to apply the base color down first, so I'm going in with the Russian green of the Prismacolor. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to use Prismacolor, so it's less confusing. And as you can see, again, the same principle. I'm just going to apply this color very light pressure. Don't worry about too much about burnishing or anything just yet. You just really need a base color down, because the next technique I'm going to show you, it really needs some sort of base color. And as you can see, I'm just quite applying all the base down, so kind of cover and everything. And then I'm going in with the dark green, which is the same as the shade of the iron green in the Inktense, which is a nice cool tone dark green, and I'm just using this color for the shadow. once you are done with the top half, I'm going back in with the bottom half where we have the intense base. Now I'm going to applying in the pencil because it is dry now, and the first color I'm applying in is the Prussian green. And as you can see, I just do a lot of long stroke just to imitate the pine needle, and as I applying, I leave a lot of kind of space in between so you don't kind of covering them all up, but leaving some space in between so later on we can applying in some highlight as well. Once you are done with the Prussian green, the next one is the lamp hue. Now this one is very nice and vibrant green, a lot lighter and a lot brighter than the Prussian green. So we are going to use this one again in the stroke motion and apply it in like between the space of where you already apply the Prussian green. And for this one, I apply a lot down at the top, at the very tip of each branches, just so it look like there are some natural light bounce off on top of these branches, and it just make them look more lively. And once you are done, I'm going in with the dark green, and now you can see I do the same thing with the stroke and just applied it at the shadow. However, I do bring it out just a little bit at go to the top, but I space them out, so try to not covering them. And when you doing this, you don't really have to put a lot of pressures on at all. So as you can see now, it's starting to form the shape and it look a lot more fluffier as well. If you just kind of go in and color like the normal way, it will look a little bit flat. For this certain types of evergreen, you need to have a lot of texture on them. It is not difficult, but it takes a little bit of time, and I feel like with the intense for the base color, you cover a lot of the white paper, because you know with pencil you have to do quite a bit of layer to cover them. There's a lot of space of the white paper. Is when it show up, it doesn't look really nice. Now for the highlight, I'm going to add in the gray green light, and I just applied it sparingly, just going in with some stroke between these branches, between this needle. The reason why I don't do too much of this color is because it can wash out your green if there is too much white, and it will look a little bit dead. So after you're done, I would just want to apply a little bit more shadow, so it's just more some dark color. So I use the dark umber to add a little bit more at the bottom of the shadow, at the bottom of each little branches. And I also just kind of lightly applying in the middle, going right in the middle, just so it look like there is the brow, like the brow branch inside. Of course you don't have to do this because it doesn't really make a difference that much. And then I use a little bit more jasmine, and I applied it very little at the top of each branches, just so it look a little bit more lively. Now moving on to the top half, and for this one, as you can see, I'm just doing the same way that I did with the intense. There's nothing different. The way I applied the colors and all the colors I use are the same as the one that I just showed you, but you can see for this one I need to do a few more layer, and also I need to use a bit heavier brushes, because with the intense, as you know, there is already the base color, so I don't really need to apply a lot of colors because the white paper is not there anymore. But if you use just entirely pencil, you need to form more layer to cover up the white paper, because if not, it might look a little bit scratchy. If you like a lot of texture, that's fine, but if you someone that like more of the smooth coverage, it might bothering you a little bit, and the process might take a little bit longer, but the results still should look really lovely. Now, there is one thing I want to mention is the light color, the gray green light at the end. With just the pencil technique, it might not show up as well. Now, if you know, in coloring book, some books is not have the best paper, and even one with the good paper, there is not enough to apply a lot of layers of pencil. So once you apply down the dark colors already, the light color pencil might don't want to show up as nicely. Now with the intense at the base, there is a lot of more tone that build up, so you will able to apply the light color pencil, and it will able to show up a little bit more vibrant, but it shouldn't be too bad. When I applying in the gray green light on top of just the pencil, as you can see right here, it look more blending, it help it to blend and more blurry, but the stroke of the colors doesn't really show as nicely as the one that you see at the bottom where we have the intense base, but it should be still looking good, and you don't have to worry about it too much. So don't think that you have to go out of your way and buy the intense just for this. So I'm just going to color the rest of these, and then we're moving on to the second type of trees. On to the second type of Christmas tree. Now this one is a little bit more simple, and they usually look like they have different layers to them. So for this one, I'm gonna do a gradient for each little section. Now for the first color, I'm applying down the aquamarine. Now for this Christmas tree, I wanted to have a little bit more of a cool tone green, as you see from the first type we did. It is a little bit more on the warm tone one, so this one I want to show you a different color combinations, and you can see I just kind of repeating this step for each individual section, and just applied it down almost halfway, and leave a lot of the white space at the end. Now I'm going in with the light green, and I'm gonna use this one to blend it in with the white space, but make sure you still leave some white at the bottom. And also I blend it back into the aquamarine just so the transition look more smoother. Once you are done with the light green, I'm just going back in with the aquamarine again, and I start to apply a second layer. If you notice, the first layer that I applying down was really light because I wanted to have enough tooth so I can blend a few more layers. I'm gonna add a few more colors, and now I'm just using the parrot green. Next, I'm going in with the parrot green just so it have a little bit more of the green back, because all the kind of bluish green that I use is more on the blue tone, so I just wanted to have a little bit more green in it, and you just gotta blend it in with the aquamarine. Once you are done with all the color, I'm going to use the 90% warm gray to applying in the shadow for the separation of each layer. Now go in with this color very light. If you worry about you are more of the heavy-handed colorist, then try to maybe go in with the indigo blue or a lower percentage of the warm gray. So try to go like maybe like 15 or 70%, because so you don't get like muddy color. And then after that, I'm just going back in with the aquamarine to blend back down the 90% warm gray, and yeah, that is about it. After this, we just go into pretty much applying in the white and blend it back up. You can leave the whites by white, but I prefer to cover it. Now for the very top section, I'm gonna act like there is a lot of snow fall on it, but I don't want to just leave it white, so I use a little bit of light green and blend it out with the white. Now for this second tree in this circle, I want to show you how to color it in a different color combination, just so if you ever see this in an illustrations and there's a lot of these kind of tree in the background, you can color them differently. The first color that I'm applying down is aquamarine, and again just the same as the other tree that you've done. You're just going for like the about halfway and leave a lot of light area at the bottom, and then you're going in with the light aqua to blend it out more. Now for this tree, it look a little bit more even cooler tone, and it's sort of like a blue. It's gonna go really nice this kind of color if you want to make your background or your scene that is at night time. Next, for the shadow, I'll use the copper turquoise to applying down a about light layer. I'll just use a light layer for now, because as you build up with a lot of other layers, it will eventually get darker. Once you are done, I'll just blend it back out with the aquamarine, because you want this kind of transition layer to look smooth. And to apply a little bit of green on it, I'm using the olive green. Once you're done, I'll just blend everything out with the light aqua once again, to get rid of all that white space textures to show through, and then I'm going in with the white for the bottom. once you are done with all the tree, I'm going to create the snow at the bottom of each layer using an acrylic pen. Now this brand is really popular between colorists, which is a Posca pen. I like to use the smaller nibs, which is a 0.7 millimeter in this case, and as you can see, I just kind of cover up the bottom and you apply a lot of little dot at the beginning and then just kind of separate them as you go toward the top. This will create the falling snow effect and it'll just look really nice and enchanting. Very easy and simple to do, so I think all of you can do this. If you don't have the Posca pen, that's fine. You can use any white gel pen that you own. Doesn't really have to be this pen, but I just happen to have it on hand. Make sure you apply quite small dots as well. Try to not go too big because then it will look a little bit too heavy on these types of tree. As you can see, the color base is really simple. It's just a simple gradient, so small dots will work out a little bit better. It sort of look like fairy dust on top as well, like a confection sugar. So I really like the way it look. Now moving on to the last Christmas tree type, I'm going to use a few intense to help out with the base colors once again. Now again, you don't really have to use the intense, but I really think it will help. Also, if you don't have intense and you have any watercolor based pencil, it will work in the same manner. Now the first color I'm applying down is the Ionian green, and as you can see here, I applied it randomly pretty much. So all of these color that I'm going in, I just kind of going in randomly. It doesn't really have to be in order at all. The second color is a felt green. This is a little bit more on the brighter green. I want to have a range of different greens on here, so once you are done, it still look nice. I will show you a little tip later on how you can color this one like two ways, but I only done one in this video because I don't have a lot of space left, but I will show you. Now this color is the spring green and it's even more lighter green. It's almost like a yellow, and all of these intense, when you applied it, is really dull, but when you start to put in the water, it will brighten up a lot more. So the final color I'm going to use is called the iron green, and again I'll just kind of going in random spot, mostly right around the edges and kind of underneath where the lights. Once you are done with all the colors, I'm going in with my watercolor pens, and I'm just going to applying down the water for these color to activate them. Now I'm going to add in the light color first and then go into the dark. You can go in with the dark color first. However, if this is a small illustration like those kind of doodle that you see, I would highly recommend go with the light color first, because once you apply it in with the dark first and then you blend out, it might look all kind of dark. But if this is a big illustration, like if this tree is like a main one, the main object of the page, and it's really large, you can go in with the dark color first. It doesn't really matter that much. And at the moment, as you can see, I go fast, but I don't really care much if it's not completely blend nicely. You can see the dry line on the third section and it's look really patchy, but that's fine because we're going in with the pencil anyway, so it doesn't really matter at the moment. Now You can see all the colors when they are activated. There is a really nice gradient for you. So if you want to, you can go on with the similar colors of the pencil at the of the base, and you can just go on top once the base is dry, and then that is it. And I think that way look really nice with like a smaller illustration, but the way that I'm going to show you now is fit more with a bigger illustration if this tree is like the main thing of the page and you want to make it really pop. Now, since the paint is still wet, I'm going to show you how to color the trunk first. And I applied down the light umber. Depends on which side you decide where the highlights come from. You just apply on one side and leave the other side lighter. And then you go in with the dark umber for the shadow and the green at the end for the highlight. So it's super simple and easy. You can just kind of go back in with the light umber to blend everything out again. Now for this pot, I'm going in first with the dark umber for the top where you can see like the inside. Now you want it to be quite dark, and just to show that it's a shadow, and I just gotta go all in with this one and blend it all as a base color. And then I kind of go in with the chocolate for this one and just applying in again one side. I leave a little bit of highlight. Then I'm using the sienna brown to applying in a little bit more of the red color, just so it look different from the our tree trunk. You don't really want it to be the same colors because it will blend it all in. Now I'm using the chocolate once again to apply the second layer to make it darker. The first layer I always do quite light, just in case I want to apply more of other colors. And then I'm using the cream to blend out the highlight. Super simple for this one. Of course you can do other colors, but I just kind of go for a simple one for this. And then the last color is the dark umber once again. I just kind of add in one side for the shadow and apply a few strokes, and then using the cream to bring back the highlights. Now going in with the star on the top, I'm using the jasmine for the star, and I add in tiny bit of light umber for the tip of the five corner of the star, just so it look nice and bright in the inside and it look like the star is glowing. And I just using a little bit of cream to make it brighter. Back to our tree. Once it's already dry, I'm going in first with the apple green, and you can see the technique that I'm using here is applying in a very long stroke, very similar to how we did at the start. But for this one, the stroke that I'm using is I follow the shape of the tree, so you kind of fan it out. So try to not do like a straight stroke down like horizontal, that will make your tree look very stiff. So try to follow the shape of the tree. And also I don't really apply it in like gradient, but I apply in where the intense was. So the next one you can see here is a more darker green. I'm using the olive green, and again I'll just kind of go in where I see is similar to the color that I already have down, and I just add it in. And if you pay attention, what we're doing here is not really a blending technique. You're not exactly blending anything. You're just kind of adding in a lot of stroke. And because of the base color, there's not much of the white showing through. It helps to make it look like all of these color blend nicely together and create gradient. The next color I'm adding in is peacock green, and this one I'm using just mainly for the shadow. So you can see I applied it in where I kind of think is in the shadow, mostly underneath the lines and in the like a small corner. I think this technique is really good if you want to done something quickly and it still look great. As a centerpiece, there's look like there's a lot of details that you spend a lot of time, but it actually not. So I think it's great for beginner even. Now I'm using the lamp peel to add in a little bit of highlight, just something a little bit more warmer green for our highlight. And then after that I'm using the gray green light, or you can use pale sage to apply it in the highlights as well. Now this one I'll try to go in between all of this section, and as you can see I'm not apply them too close to each other, or the stroke is quite far, and that is it. It's look really good. Now I'm just going to use the white. I'll show you how to decorate them, but of course you can just decorate them however you want. I kind of want to show you what it look like once you kind of done with everything. And if you pay attention, this tree is in Jun Hannah's Christmas book. There is a few pages that she draw this kind of tree look, so I hope that you can sort of use this one as inspirations for those pages. And you can see I also apply a little bit more white highlight by adding in very small stroke. And if you want to add in a few more fun colors, I'm using this acrylic paint pen to apply in like a little bubbles or lights that hanging decoration on the trees. And I mostly just use red and yellow in this case, but of course you can use any colors you like. I just want to show you how it look at the end when you have all of these extra decorations on top. And you can see this tree, the base colors show up really well, and I'm so happy with this sort of technique. It's a little bit difficult when you first start, and I think trees is sometimes it can be difficult as well if you don't know how to color them. But I hope with this video you have more fun coloring them, and if you do, make sure you share with me on Instagram. So that is it for today's video. I hope you have a fun time learning how to color all of this Christmas tree with me, and I hope you learn something new. I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, take care and happy coloring. Bye!